more can I say?
Top Billin. Hi, Top Billin, Seattle Seahawks fans. Man, I hate it for you guys, but if you guys have been watching the channel this entire season, you saw this coming, at least from my perspective, from my vantage point. As I said over and over again, man, something has to change for Seattle on offense. I kept harping on 10 personnel, spreading them out, doing something different to where if you ran against one of these teams that were completely awesome on defense, which the Los Angeles Rams are, we know that to be the case, right? Definitely the defensive personnel to match up with what Seattle brings to the table on offense, can limit the big play, can get after the quarterback, and can really expose a pretty pedestrian offensive line against light competition, if you get what I'm saying. Like Seattle's line does pretty good against teams that not that viable on the defensive front, but against really good defensive fronts, man, and has struggled. Buffalo game, Russell Wilson taking hits, and you got to put it on Russell himself as well. Russell not playing his best ball like he was to start the season, but then again, the philosophy was different. They were just much more explosive. So we can get into that another time, but this is kind of a post-mortem. Just a couple of things that I saw here, not a complete film breakdown. I'll probably do that with the All-22. But, man, how about this? Your man Pete Carroll needs to visit the Wizard, right, and get a heart in his chest because he needs to completely revamp his entire approach. I'm sorry, this defensive shit is not going to work in this day and age. These teams are just going to be too good on offense. The way that the rules are and everything does favor offenses. You're obviously going to have to be able to be one of your better defensive teams, but the better offensive teams are going to always, to me, have a chance to win the Super Bowl. Like the Los Angeles Rams with his defense can definitely get it to a certain spot, but I think ultimately even it may falter with as great a defense that it has. So got to have a mix of the two. Los Angeles needs a better offense to me, but they did what they did pretty much what Seattle would want to do, right? Run the ball, play great defense. But Pete Carroll visiting Nick Saban and seeing what Nick Saban said about defense and offense these days to me is enlightening. Before we get into that, though, I wanted to talk about this particular play right here. Now, this play obviously pissed a lot of people off, and to me, I think the ire is being thrown at the wrong person here. First of all, this is a team effort in this particular play right here. This whole setup is goofy right here. I finally got what I wanted. What did I say? 10 personnel, and I'm looking at this like, oh shit. You got Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Freddie Swain, David Moore, 4 receivers on the field. This is how they should run it, period. I think they would be more explosive trying to do this instead of trotting out Disley and Hollister and Greg Olsen and players like that. Come on, man. It's time. Unless you have a Travis Kelce, George Kittle type tight end, it ain't worth it. But check this out. So formation into the boundary here. DK Metcalf motioning to a 3-by-1. Now look at what that does right here. If you're going to run a wide receiver screen, it's usually done with a lot more spacing than this, right? A lot more spacing. You would want the cornerback to be closer to 5, 6, 7 yards off the ball to try to give yourself enough time to actually complete this. Look, as soon as the ball is snapped, he recognizes it right away. Look at that. And, of course, DK Metcalf moves up the minutes to space even more. That's not enough spacing. But regardless of the spacing here with Freddie Swain's block, Freddie Swain is not blocking so DK Metcalf can stay where he is and try to run where the receiver is. Freddie Swain's block is on the outside hip. That would mean DK needs to bring the cornerback towards Freddie Swain by simply running towards the ball because he's going to have to go inside of Freddie Swain anyway, right, to run the alley right here. He's going to have to go to the alley right here. He's not going to go behind. So to me, that makes no sense right there. He just stands in one spot, and the guy's already close. There's no way Freddie Swain could have got a block on that from where he was aligned at. Right, he shot right over there. The guy is already that close. DK Metcalf needs to run towards the ball. He just stood there. I put that on DK and I put that on Russell. He should have recognized the spacing here before he threw this. He should have pumped this right here and just ate it. Maybe ran a draw or something off of it or something like that. But that's on a lot of people. That's on 1-900 Shotty, who's 1-800 Shotty right about now. That's on Russell. That's on DK. Now, check this out right here. Usually, if you're going to run this, man, it's in your best interest to run it to the wide side of the field. Run it to the field side. You have more spacing. People are apt to get off you Whereas in the boundary, they need to be up on you. It's more of a quick hitting section of the field. So you provide yourself more spacing here. But even with that being said, look at how Tyreek Hill runs this. Right? He attacks it, then runs back to the tunnel. Right? He wanted to work back to the ball. He did not have to stand there. It's up to him. He could decrease the space on this right here by simply working back to the ball if necessary there. And then he could have ran on the inside of that block there. But they running it into that type of spacing to me is just crazy, right? Just crazy. But even Tyreek Hill has the ability here to run this and get tunneled with it. So I don't know what to tell you, man. It's frustrating. Definitely frustrating right there, but shit, you let me know. People who aren't Seattle fans, let me know what you think about that particular play and who was at fault with that. All right, the Rams playing coverage across the board here. Look, when we freeze this, there's really nowhere to go. And if there was somewhere to go, that offensive line. I understand that nobody can block Aaron Donald in the entire league, so it is what it is on that front. But you got to be prepared to do something. But, man, I mean, look at this quick pressure here. Same as that guys that I said the entire year, that right side of the line from Posick on to Shell. Posick, Lewis, Shell. There's no way you can't upgrade from a couple of those guys. But man, that's neither here nor there right now. But you can see right here, bad matchup, Damian Lewis with Aaron Donald. Right, he gets his colon cleansed. And that's pretty much all she wrote. Russell has nowhere to go, nowhere to climb in the pocket. They did a great job with this stuff because they'll make sure they rush outside and make sure Russell has to flush up in the pocket. That's how you defend a guy like that, because he's going to want to bolt to the outside there. So, and then with him being collapsed on the inside, nothing you can do, man. Felt bad for Russell in certain aspects, but then in other aspects, it was all his fault. He'll hold the ball too long and stuff like that. All right, I know you people take up for DK Metcalf, Dennis Rodman Metcalf Jr. here like no other, but come on, this is the type of stuff that guys like Dez or anything like that, and I feel like there were other guys on the team before that people was like, oh man, they're making Russell scared or whatever like that. Why isn't he one of them? I don't understand. I like the attitude when he's on the field or whatever like that, at least in certain instances and stuff like that, but I don't know. I'm seeing this a little bit too much from him, just being frustrated. Everybody's out there trying to do their best, my man. I don't know what to tell you there, but I don't know. But I guess he had to go and pay the piper right there. It's still Chef Russell's team, my man. Like, this guy's, I don't know. They gotta get that under wraps right there, man. You can't be showing up people on the sideline that are on your own team. You leave that to showing up the people who are on the other team. All right, y'all, remember, this is just post-mortem. I'll come back with some more. And, of course, we got to get into some off-season stuff, seeing what free agents and draft picks and stuff Seattle could target to really ensure that they can move forward right here. And should they target another coach? I like Brian Schottenheimer, and I think he could do the job, but does Pete Carroll trust him enough to let him do it? Or something has to change on that front. But check this out. One of the greatest defensive minds ever in this sport, Nick Saban of the Alabama dynasty, he said this, and it made me think. And I'm like, man, if Nick Saban could say this, Pete Carroll is definitely along the lines of Nick Saban, his contributions to the sport. Both of their contributions to the sport are immeasurable. But Nick Saban concedes defense is no longer key to victory. Nick Saban said this? You imagine Nick Saban back in 2008, right? I bet you Pete Carroll loves 2008 Alabama. He probably goes and watches them all the time. One of the greatest defenses ever, all the way up until really like 2015, 2016. Just a great defensive program where you get great running backs, great offensive linemen, run the ball, play great defense. Pete Carroll loves it. But, man, Nick Saban saying it used to be that good defense beats good offense. Good defense doesn't beat good offense anymore. It's just like last week. Georgia has a good defense as we do in offense, and we scored 41 points on them, and Alabama's 41-24 Alabama win. That's not the way it used to be. It used to be if you had a good defense, other people weren't going to score. You were always going to be in the game. I'm telling you, it ain't that way anymore. So with that being said, your boy Pete Carroll needs to take heed to that. It's time to try something different. Maybe you need to go out and get a different offensive coordinator. These guys with the Rams and maybe not Kyle Shanahan. He does it a little bit differently there. But that style of guy, like the Matt LaFleur's, what they're doing and stuff like that, it just feels just a little bit different than what Pete Carroll is having Brian Schottenheimer do. And it's not Schottenheimer's fault. This is all Pete Carroll's fault. Eventually, you're going to have to look at Pete Carroll, but I'm not to that point yet. I love Pete Carroll, so I'm not going to be the one to say it. But maybe Pete Carroll is the guy that they should look at because he has his fingerprints on the entire team, offense and defense, and this is something that you should know by now, right? So it is what it is on that front. I'll be back with some more. It's your boy Murf, the Underground King, Top Billin Sports. Make sure you like and subscribe. Peace.
What more can I say?
Top Billin.